What's going on, guys? So coming at you with my roster update predictions for the MLB The Show 19 roster update happening Friday, May 31st. So we're going for 131 or more likes on this video. Subscribe if you guys are new, on the road to 27,000 subscribers. Left anyone that you think I left off of this list or got wrong in these predictions. I obviously can't cover everybody. I'm not perfect, so there probably will be mistakes, and I probably will miss people who you think deserve upgrades. As always, I'm going to start with the pitchers and then go by each position: catcher, first base, second base, third base, shortstop, left field, center field, and then right field. And starting with the starting pitchers, we have Lucas Giolito of the Chicago White Sox. I have him getting a +3 this week, up from a 70 to a 73 overall. His hits per 9 are at 6.2 compared to 8.6 last year. His home runs per 9 is at 0.5 compared to 1.4 last year. His walks per 9 are down to 3.3 compared to 4.7 last year. And then his strikeouts per 9 are up to 10.2 compared to 6.5 last year. Just overall, he's having an amazing season. I think pretty much all his pitching attributes, at least the ones that I talked about, deserve an upgrade, and I think they can all get upgraded enough where he can easily get that +3 and go up to a 73 overall. The second and final starting pitcher that I have for this week is Mike Soraka, and I'm sorry about any pronunciations in this video and any video that I get wrong. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. We have him on the Braves. I have him getting a +3 this week as well, from a 71 to a 74 overall. His hits per 9 are at 5.3 on the season. His home runs per 9 is at 0.2 on the season. His strikeouts per 9 is at 8.2, and then he has a 1.07 ERA. He's just having a really good year. I feel like his stats, based on the stats that I said, but I feel like his attributes in game are just all really low compared to the season that he's having. I don't know how many games he started last year. I don't think it was a lot. I think maybe like 9 or 10. So I didn't really want to compare his stats this season to those. And because he doesn't have that much MLB experience and playing time, I feel like the way he's pitching this year easily deserves him a little bit of an upgrade and can get him closer to that silver tier in MLB The Show. Next up are the relief pitchers, and I want to say this before we get into Gant here. I'm a Cardinals fan, probably biased, but he's my only relief pitcher, and I don't have any closing pitchers. So in the comment section, please leave me some guys to look out for that are either relief pitchers or closing pitchers in MLB The Show, and I can definitely try to pay more attention to those in the next roster update predictions, because I never know about relievers. I never know which ones are doing well enough to get upgrades, who needs upgrades, stuff like that. So we have Gant of the Cardinals. I just know he's having a really good season. I have him getting a +2 this week, from a 68 to a 70 overall. His hits per 9 is at 3.8 compared to 7.2 last year. His walks per 9 is 2 better than last year. His strikeouts per 9 is 9.7 compared to 7.5 last year. So I think his walks per 9 and strikeouts per 9 definitely need a boost here in the game. I think his hits per 9 still could go up a little bit. I think 3.8 is really, really good, especially for a relief pitcher, and I just think all of those things getting upgraded enough could give him that +2. I would not be surprised at all if he went up to a 70 overall this week. Next up is our first and only catcher prediction for the week. I have Wilson Contreras on the Chicago Cubs getting a +1 this week, up to an 82 overall. Before I go over why I think he deserves an upgrade, I'm just not sure if they would actually do it this week, just because he was in the last roster update. He went from an 80 to an 81, if I'm not mistaken, and this season he's hitting 342 versus righties and has 9 home runs versus righties. So I definitely think his contact and power versus righties needs to go up a little bit in game. Overall this season, he's batting .320 with 12 home runs. So I think his hitting stats could get upgraded enough this week to give him that +1. But again, I just don't know if they would upgrade him 2 roster updates in a row. I think he deserves it, but I don't know if it would happen. I'm not sure if that's happened at all this season. I have not paid enough attention. And real quick, before we get into our couple first basemen that we have for the week, I want to mention Gary Sanchez. I've had a lot of people telling me that they think he deserves a little bit of an upgrade, maybe even to gold. I think he's currently at a 78. He's 2 away from gold, if I'm not mistaken about that. And I checked down his splits, his stats, stuff like that, compared to his in-game attributes and everything, and I just don't see them upgrading enough for anything to get him an upgrade. I feel like his attributes in game are pretty good at where they're at compared to real life. I could be wrong. I could be misjudging it, but that's just my take on Gary Sanchez and why I don't have him in these predictions. Now for the first baseman, we're starting with Anthony Rizzo of the Chicago Cubs as well. This week I have him getting a +1 from an 83 to an 84, not quite breaking into the diamond tier. This season he has 12 home runs versus righties, so I think you can definitely increase his power versus righties a little bit, but overall, I feel like his hitting attributes are pretty solid where they're at just compared to how he's doing this season. I think he's definitely picked it up recently from what you guys are telling me, and I've been seeing a lot of people saying, hey, he needs to go diamond. And just looking at his stats, looking at his splits on the season versus righties and lefties, I feel like his hitting attributes are pretty solid compared to those stats. So I think he could go diamond at some point this year, especially if he continues to keep it up and play better and everything. But I don't see it happening this week. And one thing that I wanted to mention is that if he starts hitting better versus lefties, I think it's an easy diamond. So this season, he's only hitting 205 versus lefties with 2 home runs. Obviously, a little bit less at bats, but still a 205 average versus lefties. I feel like those lefty stats could even go down a little bit, which would definitely hurt him trying to get that upgraded diamond. So I have him getting a +1 up to an 84. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if that didn't happen. I'm just very interested to see what they do, if anything. And I would honestly be surprised, though, if he did go diamond. Next up is our second and final first baseman prediction for the week, and our first level changer of these predictions. We have Josh Bell on the Pittsburgh Pirates. I've been getting a +2 this week, going from 78 to an 80, breaking into the gold tier. This dude's killing it. I don't know how his fielding is this season at all, but he's just killing it at the plate, guys. He's hitting 340 this season, 363 versus righties, only 278 versus lefties, but 363 versus righties. So I definitely think you need to increase that contact attribute versus righties. I think maybe even versus lefties a little bit. 278, maybe that deserves more than a 63. 17 home runs already this season, with 12 of them coming versus righties and 4 against lefties. With that being said, let's just break it down. So he has like about 160 about 140 at bats versus righties, I think, and about 50 at bats versus lefties. Those numbers aren't exact, but pretty much over about 1/3, or just about 1/3 of the at bats in the amount of lefties, and he has 1/3 of the home runs. So I definitely think both powers need an increase, and I think you could see a little bit more of an increase though to the power versus righties. And hitting stats across the board, especially contact versus righties, and then both powers need an upgrade. I feel like they need enough of an upgrade to get him that +2, maybe even a +3, but to get him into the gold category, I think he definitely deserves it. He's on fire this season. I don't have any second baseman predictions for you guys this week, so we're going straight to the third baseman, and we have another level changer. We have Matt Chapman. This week, I have him getting a +1 from an 84 to an 85, breaking into diamond tier and MLB The Show 19. And I want to start off my prediction with him by saying that I think this could happen, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen. So this season, he has 14 home runs. 8 of them are versus righties, and 6 are versus lefties, and 150 at bats versus righties, 49 versus lefties. So I definitely think that both powers could get a little bit of an increase, especially lefties. I don't know how much they would do versus righties, only 8 home runs versus them, but I think his lefty power definitely needs a little bit of an increase. And the main reason I think this might not happen, so I think he could go diamond because he's hitting well this season, but the main reason I think that there's a chance, and I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, is he's only hitting 269 this season. So I feel like there's not really enough there to boost his contact at all versus either sides. His power versus righties, I would be surprised if it went up that much, maybe 1, maybe 2. Lefties, I think it definitely deserves an increase, but again, contact versus both sides and maybe power versus righties, I don't think deserve any change at all personally. Could be wrong. Again, guys, I'm not perfect. I'm not like some baseball expert. I don't know exactly how they do their upgrades, what the stats are based on, but I just wouldn't be surprised if he didn't go diamond, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. It all just depends on how much everything gets upgraded by, if anything gets downgraded, stuff like that. So I've been getting a +1 this week up to a diamond, but keep in mind that there's a chance that it doesn't happen. Next up is our final third baseman prediction for this week. We have Rafael Devers on the Boston Red Sox. I've been getting a +2 this week, a level changer as well, going from 73 to 75, breaking into the silver tier. And this season, he's hitting 347 versus righties, so I think his contact versus righties definitely needs to go up. I believe he's batting 327 versus lefties, so I think that contact versus lefties could go up a little bit as well. I feel like both of his contacts need to go up, and just especially the one versus righties. And I'm just not sure how much they would upgrade each one. So I could definitely see him. I feel like he definitely deserves an upgrade this week, a +1, a +2, +3. I just don't know how much they would actually increase his contact stats. I feel like his power is probably pretty solid where it's at based on what I looked at, his stats and everything, but I think his contact is not. I think that definitely needs to go up. I just don't know how much they would actually upgrade it by, but I definitely think he can get an upgrade this week, needs an upgrade this week, and I'm giving him that +2 breaking into silver. Now we're on to the shortstops, and we have two predictions, sort of. So the first one is an honorable mention. We have Trevor Story on the Colorado Rockies, and the reason he's an honorable mention is I've been getting so many people saying, why isn't he diamond? He needs to be diamond. He deserves to go diamond. And I looked at his stats compared to his attributes in game, and I just don't think he's hitting well enough this season to warrant any hitting upgrades or hitting attribute upgrades this season. So I don't really see it happening. With that being said, it could happen. I could be wrong, but I just wanted to mention him because a lot of people think he will go diamond, should go diamond, and I just wanted to say that I thought about him. I looked at his stats, I looked at his attributes in game, and I just don't think he's going to get an upgrade this week. Personal opinion, I could be wrong. That's just my thoughts, though. Next up is our final shortstop and final infielder for these predictions. We have Jorge Polanco on the Minnesota Twins. I have him getting a +2 this week from a 77 to a 79 overall. This season, he's hitting 304 versus lefties and 332 just overall on the season. So I definitely think he needs a boost in his contact versus lefties. I feel like versus righties is probably good where it's at, but I think that contact versus lefties definitely needs to go up a little bit. 8 of his 9 home runs this season are versus righties, so I think you can boost his power versus righties a little bit. Probably not a lot, but I feel like 3, 4, 5 plus increase to that power versus righties, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I think it would be deserved. And because of those two things, I feel like that would be enough to get him a +2. However, I wouldn't be surprised if he only got like a +1. And I definitely think he needs a little bit of an upgrade to those stats. And I've been getting that +2 to a 79 overall this week. And for the outfielders, I only have one player for each position. We're starting with left field, Ronald Acuna Jr. on the Atlanta Braves. And just like Trevor Story, he is an honorable mention for me. So he's a little bit different though, and a lot of people think he needs to go diamond. He deserves to go diamond. Probably gonna get comments saying Acuna, he needs to go diamond on this video. A lot of people I see just saying he needs to go diamond, and personally I think his fielding needs to be upgraded, and if his fielding did get upgraded, I feel like that would easily boost him into the diamond category. With that being said, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, I'm not 100% positive, but I'm pretty sure during these roster updates, they don't change fielding to players at all. Maybe if there's like some outlier like out of the blue. I think Nolan Arenado maybe got his reaction up a little bit last year or something. But it seems like they very rarely, if ever, pretty much change fielding in these updates. Someone was telling me they think they do during the bigger update around the All-Star break that they sometimes do. I don't know if they do that every year, but someone told me that's the time that they change fielding. So I don't think Ronald Acuna Jr. is hitting well enough this season to boost any of those stats. I feel like they're already really good in game, and I just don't think his numbers deserve an upgrade for those. So the only way I think he would go diamond is if they upgraded his fielding, which I think he deserves. I think he needs a fielding upgrade in game, but I don't think they change the fielding attributes during these roster updates. So I wanted to mention him because I know a lot of people are going to be wondering about him. I don't think he goes diamond because I don't think he changes hitting stats, and I don't think they change fielding stats during these updates. But again, I could be wrong about that. Now for our center fielder of the week, the prediction we have is Byron Buxton on the Minnesota Twins. I've been getting a +1 from a 76 to a 77 this week. He's hitting 333 versus lefties this season, so I think you could definitely increase his contact versus lefties. And then I think his vision at 38 is a little bit low, so I can see that being increased some. And I think both of those two things would be enough to get him a +1 and get him up to that 77 that I think he could and probably should get this week. My final prediction for the week is Austin Meadows of the Rays. I've been getting a +2 up to a 76 overall. So this season he's hitting 344 versus righties and 333 versus lefties. So I feel like his contact versus both sides definitely needs a boost. I feel like 72 and 68 are a little bit too low, and I think his vision could probably go up some. I feel like it's a little bit low at 55, and just all those things I feel like could get him a +2, maybe even a +3, but I'm giving him a +2 this week up to a 77 overall. And that is it for my roster update predictions this week, you guys. And like I said at the beginning, I'm not perfect. I'm not a baseball expert. I don't have unlimited hours in the day. So there's definitely a chance that I got some of these wrong, that I missed people especially. And I'm interested to hear down in the comment section. I would love it if you guys left the player, their position, what upgrade, like +1, +2, +3, what their overall is. So like pretty much say like, oh, Ronald Acuna Jr. +2 from an 84 to an 86. He's on the Braves, and I think he deserves an upgrade because of this, because of this, because of that. So that would be like my ideal way for you guys to leave comments on this video. Obviously, you don't have to. You can just leave names, stuff like that. But I'm very curious to hear who you guys think I got wrong and who I missed for these predictions this week. Again, I don't really do downgrades. I only like to focus on the upgrades. It's just easiest and what I like to do most. And then positions like relief pitcher, closing pitcher, those are a little bit harder for me sometimes. And then I feel like some people also don't look at attributes in game compared to real life numbers for some of these players. But with that being said, please leave a like on this video. That'd be awesome. Subscribe if you guys are new. Comment down below. Lots of stuff for you guys to comment. Follow on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, second channel. All that's down in the description. Hopefully this wasn't too long. I feel like this kind of lasted a while, but I'm really not sure. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Peace out.